Okay, sige. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the laboratory orientation of the nervous system, histology of the nervous system as prepared by the lecturer, Dr. Viloria. Okay, so siya ang nagbigay nito sa akin, so we will follow what she has prepared for us. Okay, good afternoon. The nervous system is made up of the CNS and the PNS. And right now, what I will be showing first are the organs that belong to the central nervous system, which are the cerebrum, cerebellum, and the spinal cord. The first organ to be discussed is the cerebrum. And the cerebrum is made up of two main zones or layers. And these are the cerebral cortex, which is found at the outer portion of the organ, and the cerebral medulla, which is in the inner portion. Now, the cerebrum is the cerebral cortex, the outer portion, is made up of 6 ill-defined layers. And the one that is presented here is the first layer from without inwards, which is directly adherent to the pia mater, is the molecular layer. And as you can see, the cells in its different layers, the different layers cannot be separated one from the other. But then, because it was named the 6 layers because of the cells that are found per layer. But then, in ordinary stains, we cannot really define different layers. Now, the molecular layer is the outermost layer and immediately followed by the granular layer. So yun lang ang pwede namin ibigay sa inyo. Okay? So this is the molecular layer followed by the granular layer immediately. Probably just a change in the hue of the stains, a lighter stain in the outer portion, and immediately followed by a layer with a darker stain compared to the outer stain. Okay, so this is again the molecular layer and then the granular layer. But how can you really identify if it is the cerebrum? We will have to show you the presence of the parenchymal cells, which are the pyramidal cells or the pyramidal cells of Betz. No? So this one class, as you can see, is shaped in a triangular fashion, and it is called the pyramidal cell or the pyramidal cells of Betz or the Betz cells, B-E-T-Z, Betz. So pwede pang pronounce na Betz cells siya. Okay, so these are the Betz cells and these are the parenchymal cells of the cerebrum. Okay, that's the only thing you have to know about the cerebrum histologically. Now, the cerebellum, as like the cerebrum, also has its 2 main layers, which are the cortex and the medulla. So if you can see the cursor from that point, let's say from this point up to that point is the cortex, and the inner layer, which is this portion that are being pointed by these very large arrows, is called the cerebellar medulla. Okay, but the cerebellar cortex is still further subdivided into 3 sublayers. So this is the cerebellar cortex. We know that the cortex is the one that is very near the pia mater here. Okay, so the lowest, that pia mater is part of the meninges. Okay, the cerebellar cortex is further subdivided into the first molecular layer, second, the layer of the Purkinje cell, and the third, the granular layer. On further magnification, we can see that the Purkinje cell layer is just a single layer of these very large flask-shaped cells called Purkinje cells. So, pag pinakita ito and this is shown to you will immediately identify that this is the cerebellum. So, cerebrum, pyramidal cells. Cerebellum, you can see that the Purkinje cells are arranged in a single layer fashion. Okay? So, yan yung mga flask-shaped cells known as Purkinje cells, and immediately underneath is the granular layer. All these three layers make up the cerebellar cortex. Further enlargement of the cells, you will see that these are the Purkinje cells. Again, class, the blue layer that is pointed by this the layer that is pointed by this blue arrow is the molecular layer, and this layer underneath is also known as the granular layer, all belonging to the cerebellar cortex. Let's go to the spinal cord. As mentioned a while ago, that the gray matter is the one that is the cortex of both the cerebrum and the cerebellum. It is the opposite in the spinal cord. The white matter is the one that is found at the surface of the organ, whereas the gray matter represents this H structure here. Okay, so yung dark area na to, call it the gray matter, and it is the opposite of what's happening with the cerebrum and the cerebellum. What is found in the gray matter? The gray matter represents parts that are of this neuron cell body. So what you can see mostly in the gray matter are the nerve cell bodies, because it is in the white matter where you can find the axons. Okay? So ito yung class, no? That is why it is white. It is referred to as white matter because of the presence of the myelin sheath that surrounds the axonal fiber or the nerve fiber. Remember, class, nerve cell bodies are the ones that are found in the gray matter as represented by this picture. Okay, so this is a neuron, another neuron, another neuron. And as you can see, this yellow structure in the middle is the nucleolus, very prominent. That's why it is given as the bullseye appearance cell. Okay, so this is the nucleus, the one that is being pointed by the red arrow, whereas the yellow arrow represents the nucleolus. So the whole structure here is called the nerve cell body or the neuron cell body. Okay, still with the spinal cord, at the center is a canal where CSF passes through. And this central canal is lined by glial cells. Remember, class? Glial cells are supporting cells of the nervous system. Okay, it is lined with, the central canal is lined with a single layer of cuboidal to columnar cells. I said cuboidal to columnar cells. I did not say a single layer of cuboidal to columnar epithelium. No, these are glial cells. And remember, class, glial cells are not classified as epithelial tissue. Remember, there are 4 types of fundamental tissues, namely epithelial, connective, muscular, and nervous tissue. And ependymal cells are under nervous tissue. So what's the difference? But sinabi niyo, ma'am, it is lined with, yes, it is lined with a single layer of cuboidal to columnar. In fact, it contains cilia and microvilli, but it is not classified as epithelial tissue. Rather, ependymal cells are supporting cells, aka glial cells of the nervous system. Why is this not classified as epithelial tissue? Because the ependymal cells are attached to each other by junctional complexes, but never attached to a basement membrane. It does not contain a basement membrane. And also the presence of the cilia and the microvilli here are seen. Cilia is for the movement of CSF, whereas microvilli functions for absorption. Okay, so are we clear with that? Sana clear tayo dyan that ependymal cells are not classified as epithelial tissue. I am emphasizing this because it is always a mistaken thing, because it is cuboidal to columnar, that students mistake this as being classified as epithelial tissue. Okay, let's move on with ganglion cells. Okay, these very large cells here belong to an organ called the dorsal root ganglion, and these are the ganglion cells. Okay, so the ganglion cells have also that characteristic feature, none of very prominent nucleolus inside a nucleus. Okay, so we can also see some cells called satellite cells that surround each ganglion cell. These satellite cells function to insulate, they nourish also, and regulate the microenvironment of ganglion cells. Okay, so these are the ganglion cells, and surrounding them are the satellite cells. Okay, let's go to peripheral nerves. Okay. We will talk about the bundles here, the coverings of peripheral nerves. Peripheral nerves, let's go first to this slide. Okay, each nerve fiber or axon, as pointed here. No, class, this picture shows bundles of nerves, okay? Bundles of nerve fibers. Now, each nerve fiber, class, this is a cross-section of a nerve fiber. This is not a cell with the nucleus in the middle and this is the cytoplasm. No, this is a cross-section of an axonal fiber, and this axonal fiber is surrounded by myelin sheath, okay? And this myelin sheath of the peripheral nerve is produced by the Schwann cells. So those cells that are pointed with the blue arrow are called the Schwann cells, and they are responsible for producing a myelin sheath in the peripheral nervous system. Now, the covering of each axonal fiber or nerve fiber is called endoneurium. Okay, so endoneurium is loose connective tissue. What about the covering of a bundle of nerve fiber? It is called perineurium. Okay, so yan yung perineurium. And bundles of nerve fiber is surrounded by epineurium. Okay, so tinuro naman siguro sa inyo sa lecture what these are made of, no? So all of this, epineurium, perineurium, and endoneurium are made of connective tissue. Okay, so yan yun ha. Pinakita ko na yan sa inyo. Okay, these are just examples of nervous tissue found in the human body. Okay, so we have here, ito siguro naalala nyo pa ito. This is found, the mesenteric plexuses are found in the tunica muscularis of the gastrointestinal tract organs, so such as the small intestines, large intestines, no? And then we have here the Meissner's corpuscles. We also can find here the Pacinian corpuscle. I believe you will take this up in a separate lecture. And as you can see here, the nuclei, these are nerves, no? And these could be differentiated from blood vessels by the absence of lumen in nervous tissue. Okay. And lastly, class, the meninges. Meninges, the topic of meninges will be taken up also in a separate lecture. But just to give you a bird's eye view of what meninges are, they are the coverings of the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the spinal cord. And from without inwards, it is the dura mater, which is dense connective tissue, the arachnoid mater, okay, this is loose connective tissue, and that meninx that is attached to the parenchyma of the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the spinal cord is called the pia mater. And it is also in the pia mater that blood vessels could be appreciated, such as these ones. Okay? So yan yung pia mater. The coverings really matter. Okay, class? That's all for this afternoon. Thank you so much. And that is the histology of the nervous tissue. No questions? Gising pa ba kayo?